your hand out, demanding that I pay the money that I work for. At least that's what you say. But what gives you that power? Who died and made you boss? I'm barely getting by today. I can't afford that loss. So if you don't show some legal obligation that I pay, put your hand back in your pocket.
Well, hello there. I'm Hartwell Broussard, and I welcome you to Help, the program with help and a request for help. The reason help is needed is because America is in distress. If you notice in the background, the American flag is displayed upside down. When a flag is displayed upside down, it is done so as a distress signal. If you wish to confirm that, go to the United States Code, Title 36, Chapter 10, Paragraph 176A. My goal is to help you to understand why America is in distress. And hopefully you will do something to help get us out of this dire situation that we are in. For this program, I will be showing you part 7, which is the final part of the video entitled Matrix of Evil. But before going into that, I would like to read a quote from Albert Einstein. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. Think about that while you watch the final part of this video entitled Matrix of Evil.
I mean, this stuff sounds crazy, but you have all seen it on the news. You've all seen the unified propaganda, the systematic crafting, the same phrases, whole paragraphs on different networks, spoken exactly the same. And see, that goes into the nature of the staged events. They're calling it a Patriot Act debate nationwide. Ashcroft's hearing your concerns. They drive the guy in secretly to the hotel where he gives a speech. No one is allowed in. They frisk the media. Only certain members of the media to ask questions. This has all been admitted. I mean, it's like Bush up there for how great Made in America is, how much good American-made things we have, how good the economy is up in St. Louis earlier this year, with all the Made in America USA sprayed on the boxes, and they zoomed in. It's all made in China. None of it was made here, but it was just an illusion. Secret Service told them in Indianapolis, Indiana, a couple months ago, "All right, everybody, President's about to be here. Take your ties off, or you can't be in here." Thousands of people. Some people said, "Well, I'm taking my tie off." Secret Service threw them out. That's your free country. You go hear the president speak, and it's all let's have everybody from the weapons plants come. It's already a controlled mass there, and so the crowd from the weapons plant comes in to watch the president. They're already all for weapons sales and everything. So this is a good crowd. But then they're told, take your ties off, because they want to have the view that we're blue collar. We're not wearing ties. My point is, I could talk for hours about that. It's totally staged. It isn't liberal bias or conservative bias. See, they know that your minds are somewhat sophisticated. So they will create layers of, you peeled that layer back, you found out it was a liberal bias. Oh, you peeled that layer back, it was a neocon bias. Oh, you peeled that layer back, it was a big government bias. No, it's a, again, scientifically crafted warfare system. And even before they were coming out with all the microchips, telling us how good all the implanted microchips would be, they said, watch kooks that talk about implantable chips, and all these nuts that talk about urban warfare training and black helicopters. Then all of a sudden, years before they launched all the helicopters on us and the raids and the training to get us ready to get rid of posse comitatus, the 1878 law that bans the military from engaging in law enforcement activities, they would say, crazy people talk about black helicopters. It's a code word for absolute evil. And then when the helicopters and the urban warfare training hit Texas and the rest of the country, and they were blowing up buildings in front of people and terrorizing the population, Czechoslovakian troops running around, they went, of course, we're just doing some training to get our military ready. And yeah, black helicopters exist. But still, people that warn the public about black helicopters, kind of this icon, this icon or symbol for urban warfare, training, conditioning, they go, but you're still weird to talk about them. You're still weird to talk about implantable microchips. You're that weird guy who talks about all that weird stuff. I'm like, why isn't it weird when it's on the news? Right. See? So that's built-in defense mechanisms where people don't want to face a threat. So they want to just deny what you're saying. They want to deny what you've told them. They don't want to believe it. Everything's been made so comfortable for us here while they euthanize the human spirit. Here's one out of Television Week. We posted this on Infowars.com. Television Week. Big magazine, industry magazine. It says, is your television watching you? Television Week. Could the federal government find out what you're watching on TV, even if you're not the subject of a criminal investigation? The answer is yes, according to legal experts and industry officials. Under the USA Patriot Act, this stuff, they built this infrastructure. They had it all lined up. Go day, building it, to launch the primer that was September 11th, to roll us into the next phase. I mean, this is diabolical. They're on a plan, and we have derailed it. Make no mistake, we would have already seen more huge catastrophic attacks, not the little pinpricks, just to remind us of the terror. If you wouldn't have been out there involved, speaking out, writing books, putting up websites, doing radio interviews, calling into talk shows, telling people at church what's going on, making copies of videotapes, if you wouldn't have been doing that, believe me, they'd already be blowing stuff up. They'd be launching more anthrax attacks. They were... The big CFR guy who kind of runs the terror operation for the government, makes little terror announcements, the Hart-Rudman Commission, Gary Hart, he got up on TV middle of last year and he said there will be smallpox attacks in Denver, Dallas, and Cleveland, and you better give all your rights up. I mean, he said it. He said, you just get ready for it. We're going to lock all the cities down. They had the head of FEMA, Mike Van Winkle, up in New Jersey, say in the newspaper, in the Gannett News Service, that, hey, under a red alert, you can't leave your house. You'll be considered an enemy combatant if you leave your home. The Army, they had one of their colonels in the Detroit Free Press. He said, we'll shoot grandmothers if they try to run quarantine. And you look at what Bush is doing. He's building 3 dozen giant, what he calls BioShield Level 4 bioweapons plants. Baltimore Sun said they're going to produce thousands of gallons of liquid death of weaponized smallpox, weaponized Ebola. And they're just doing it right in front. The terrorists are about to strike us. The terrorists are about to strike us. And they're building all these giant plants to just, and in big cities and small towns, 3 dozen of them. I mean, they're 100 times more dangerous than a nuclear weapons production plant or nuclear reactor. And have you heard about this on the news? Very little. So your television watching you. And then I've got the new Victory Act. What this is a duplication of Patriot Act 1 and 2, because parts of Patriot Act 1 have been repealed in the House. It's now in the Senate. And so they're trying to duplicate it. Again, they shoot a torpedo at the country. We might, it might hit the ship in a spot where the bulkhead's reinforced and only floods a few compartments. Well, they're not going to stop. Torpedo 2, torpedo 3, torpedo 4, torpedo 5. That's what they're doing right now. I'm writing analysis of the Victory Act. It says in here, the Victory Act says that possession of any controlled substance or prohibited substance. That means a little old lady puts her medication in the wrong plastic container when she goes to church. And who doesn't do that? Who takes medication? You've all heard of little old ladies getting taken to jail. Cop pulls over. Let me search. Let's share officer with an eye. What are these pills? These aren't the designated bottle. Under that, it says 1 marijuana cigarette, anything, 20 to life. It says it. It says it in the Victory Act, word for word. And it says it's an act of terrorism. And before they announced this evil law, before Ashcroft went on his ridiculous Carnival Barker road show, before they did that, they had all the TV ads. Well, I occasionally smoke marijuana, and I don't see how it helps terrorists. And then the guy goes, the intellectual goes, let me list 100 reasons. And at the end, the guy's going, and then the ad fades to black, like, oh, I've been decimated. See, they tell you, marijuana is aiding Al-Qaeda. And then And then you see all these ads on TV, public service announcement, brought to you by Homeland Security, or brought to you by all their little minion groups, all the little 501c3 charities. And so they do that. That's what they're up to. This is their operation. So they're just firing, and people go, well, we've been beating back the first Patriot Act and educating a lot of folks, but they're bringing out more than nothing we can do. You're in a war, folks. They're firing more torpedoes. That should encourage you. These guys... arming enemies, arming terrorists. There are as many examples of this as there are fish in a good-sized lake. I mean, it's amazing. Here's one, Time Magazine, and they just admit this now. Nukes to North Korea from Nashville. And it says, yeah, these conservative groups that own these big weapons companies, they've been selling all the nuke stuff to Kim Jong-il in North Korea. Now we're going to have World War III to fix it. Well, that's all right. But we had to go in there and get Saddam, man. He had some aluminum tubing. You know, my gosh, that guy, he was in bombed out bunkers. He was a real threat. Of course, he also had about $4 trillion in oil, and a bunch of weapons sales, and got the troops in that region, invade Syria, Iran, everybody else. So there's that. And there's idealistic Philippine rebellion leaders claim moral victory. This was all over the BBC and the French news. And 300 commandos led by a colonel took over a building, released documents, and said the government, with the U.S., has been doing all the bombings, shooting all the people. It's our own government shooting us. There are no terrorists here. The Muslims are doing nothing. These so-called terror groups are the Philippine government, quote, that wants to continue martial law. That's been in effect there for decades. I mean, it's simple. Let's say I owned the company that sold fire department equipment, and I wanted to make some money. I'd go out and set fire to something out here in Bastrop, and then I told you you should have bought my firefighting equipment. I mean, it's not hard to figure this out. Here's another one. U.S.-Pakistan made deal over capture of bin Laden. That's out of the mainstream India. And Musharraf's over there, the head of India, the head of Pakistan, next door to India, who are all threatening to nuke each other, and they're saying, well, yeah, we could have got bin Laden, but we just didn't. That would have caused some problems. And they flew 8,000, it's not 6,000 now, 8,000 Taliban and Al-Qaeda out to safety in the middle of the phony war. All opposition fell apart. They flew them out to safety, admit the U.S. government did it, and Fox News said, well, it's true, but it was an accident. You're going to talk bad about our C-130 pilots? They didn't mean it. And there's the Pentagon, admittedly, with large groups of euros and dollars and gold. Some news articles paying them. Good job, men, good job. You know, they go in, act cool, shoot some stuff up. They were put in by the globalists. Then they have this big phony war. They collapse and fall back, and the globalists take over that country in a month that the Russians couldn't do in 8-9 years. It's all staged, folks. And they've got more wars. They say a 100-year war. They say that it's never going to end. And the war is now against people that smoke marijuana. Not against Ritalin or Prozac users, though. The war is now against people that don't turn over their property to the government. There's this stuff in the Victory Act about protesting or standing up for your land when they're taking it, and you're a terrorist. I mean, all this legislation turns us into serfs, slaves. You tell somebody this, though, they go, that's ridiculous. Government would never do anything wrong or want to control us. Oh, no, just all throughout human history, 6,000+ years of civilization, that's all they ever tried to do. But now they're all nice and sweet. By the way, guys in black ski masks were always bad guys. People in black ski masks, oh, that's the terrorist, that's the bank robber. About 5 years ago, Hollywood, the news, hey, all cops look like this, it's cool, they're the good guys. Every department, well, I got to have my own combat boots and my own ski mask, my own black helmet, and somebody's door to kick down. Man, that's cool. But the good news is that John Ashcroft has been trying to go around the country and have these staged town hall meetings where they only allow police and government employees in. And in Detroit, he got up this week and began giving a speech, and at the end of it, a man stood up and said, Mr. Ashcroft, I would like to know which of your terrorists are going to be used for a new 911. You and Vice President Dick Cheney, said the heckler who got into the room in a downtown Detroit convention center by posing as a TV reporter. These people These people shouldn't be able to go anywhere in public where they're out peddling their lies without being confronted by you, we the people. And I've covered these protests. I've had guests on in the middle of them in Detroit, in Salt Lake City, in Boise. And you'll have 500 people, 1,000 people, 200 people, black people, white people, Hispanics, old, young, conservatives, liberals, and they're all there, they're waking up. And if you just tell the truth about tyranny and explain how things really work and how corrupt and dangerous this out of control privatized government is, how they created big government, got us all addicted, privatized it, and are handing it over to the corporations with new governmental power, man, the little socialists I know are going out and buying guns. It's beautiful. If you're not a hypocrite, you can deprogram and go, wait a minute, did a Native American have a right to have a gun to defend themselves against the army? Well, of course, of course. Well, you like Che Guevara so much. I don't agree with him. He was an establishment guy, but you know, I see you wearing a t-shirt with him with an AK-47. Why is that okay? See, you've just got an opinion that isn't backed up with any fact. And it's a recipe for disaster to disarm a population. You disarm a population. Let's say we had a little angel running the government right now. When you do get a dictator, they're going to be able to go all the way. And that's what the separation of powers are about. That's what the Bill of Rights is about. It's all about restraining power. Realize that history does repeat itself. And emperors and kings and despots and strong men and king rats have always used crises, the threat of the unknown, of the enemy, of the criminal, the low-level criminal, to convince the mass to relinquish control of their lives and to serve and become willing slaves of the system. This system is un-American, it's anti-human, it's anti-God, it's degenerate to its very, very core. And you are part of history in your fight against it. You are special. You do matter. You are leaders. So get in the bleeding heart liberal idiots' faces, the mindless neocons. Get in these people's faces and wake them up that we are under a massive, sustained terrorist attack by the New World Order military-industrial complex, and that they're attempting to expand that control. Again, thank you so much for coming, and God bless you all. Thanks for watching this presentation of The Matrix of Evil. All these different diverse minds coming to you with the same conclusion. World government, tyranny. It's up to you to become a leader. If you want to reach people, you first have to be informed. And one of the key areas of the New World Order agenda is government-sponsored terror, where the government carries out terror attacks and then blames it on their political enemies. And this is going on from Germany to Japan to the United States to Israel. And in my book, 9/11, Descent into Tyranny, I detail the history of government-sponsored terror. We focus in on Oklahoma City and September 11th and show how they're using that as an excuse to expand their police state. I've also published another book by Paul Watson, Order Out of Chaos, Elite-Sponsored Terror and the New World Order. This book, in over 300 pages, lays out the facts of government-sponsored terror. It proves that the New World Order carried out September 11th and most other major terrorist attacks, and then again use those events to scare the population into accepting tyranny. One of the best videos I produced of the 10 I've made over the last 6 years is Police State 3 Total Enslavement. You want to wake people up? This is one of the key tools that we offer. It covers what the New World Order is, the history of it, the PNAC prior knowledge of September 11th, the attack on liberties through Patriot Act 1 and 2, Homeland Security, Ashcroft's lies, government-run white slavery rings that are admitted in the mainstream media as one of their largest industries after drug trafficking. We get into gun control, forced inoculations, foreign troops, concentration camps, the cashless society control grid, Police State 3 Total Enslavement, folks, is an incredible film if you want to truly be informed about our world today and be educated so you can inform others and be a leader in your community. And then, of course, I produced 9/11, The Road to Tyranny, covering September 11th and government-sponsored terror, along the same lines of the book, 9/11, Descent into Tyranny. Part 2 of my 9/11 film and book is The Masters of Terror Exposed. And this film just continues with hundreds of smoking guns and red flags proving that the military-industrial complex carried out September 11th. So again, please visit Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com and our secure online shopping cart and buy these books and videos and share them with your friends and family. Or you can simply call toll-free 1-888-253-3139 or write to us at the address that we're going to put on the screen. Number one, these videos and books are powerful tools to wake people up. 90% of those that see these documentaries are beginning to awaken because the New World Order agenda is so far along now, they're very perceptive to the truth. They already instinctively know that something's wrong. And secondarily, purchasing these films and books also supports our ministry and what we're doing to unlock minds, to free minds out there, to shatter the controlled paradigms and attempt to resist this dehumanizing force that is neo-serfdom. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support. God bless you.
Matrix of Evil. I hope I've helped you by showing you this video entitled Matrix of Evil by Alex Jones. Here's a quote from Alex Jones. "Run your life or someone else will run it for you." End quote. People, there are evil people who are not running your life, but they are running your life. Here is this quote by Albert Einstein again. "The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it." End quote. I have talked with many ministers about the Bible, and every minister has told me that the Holy Bible is the Word of God, and God does not lie. And every minister have told me that the Bible teaches to resist evil. I just showed you a video entitled Matrix of Evil. If you are a true Christian, you are resisting evil, as the Bible teaches to do. If you are not resisting evil, then you are a pretending Christian. Here's a quote from Pastor Tex Morse. "We love the world too much, and we don't love God enough." End quote. And that is exactly the way I see it. The Bible, again, teaches not to be of the world, but we love the world too much, and we don't love God enough. We don't love God enough to follow His lead and resist evil. And that is the only reason that these evil people are able to ruin our lives. We need to turn back to God. We have walked away from God. God didn't move. There's a big gap between God and us. But the reason is because we moved away from Him. It's time to turn around and head back to God, our Creator. Here's something I jotted down. Ignore the Christ and pay the price. Here's something else I jotted down. I listen to all kind of shortwave radios and everything, and I'll pick up different things. Here's something else. Think biblically and act accordingly. That's something to think about until next time. And until next time, may all your sunsets set right, and may the good Lord bless you both, day and night.